NCAA football player to sign an NIL deal with Nike. Nike signed Sanders to a name, image, and likeness contract to promote a new line of footwear and apparel. Shadua's father, Deion Sanders, had a Nike deal in the 1990s when he was an NFL cornerback. Former USC quarterback Caleb Williams was named one of 8 captains for the Chicago Bears. Williams is the first Bears rookie to be named a captain since the team started naming captains in 2007. One more quarterback note, 15 of the 32 NFL teams will begin the regular season with a black quarterback as their starter. That tops last year's number of 14. Later today, we'll give you the names of all 15 NFL black quarterbacks in the starting lineup for Week 1. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I need your dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom and pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your shadow with me? Time to get it. Hey!
1, 2, 3, go! I'm gonna try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style again.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, former presidential candidate and legendary consumer crusader Ralph Nader on his new book, Let's Start the Revolution: Tools for Displacing the Corporate State and Building a Country that Works for the People. We will also talk to Ralph Nader about his new publication, The Capitol Hill Citizen. It's a newspaper. Got a copy of it in front of me right here on my desk. Pretty amazing piece of work that Ralph Nader is doing, even at the age of 90. This brother is unstoppable. Ralph Nader today in our second hour. In our third hour, Dave Tell, author of Remembering Emmett Till. Listen to this now. Dave Tell will take us inside the newly released documents exposing the dubious dealings of the journalist whose 1956 article about Till's lynching for Look magazine was billed as the true account of Till's lynching nearly 70 years ago. This is the article that everybody read in America in 1956 that framed the killing of Emmett Till. It was billed as the true account. Wait till you hear in our third hour what the writer's own notes indicate that he left out of the story. I'll leave it there. When you hear what he left out of this story 70 years ago, that would have changed this case forever. It's going to make you, anyway. Hour 3, we'll talk about that with Dave Tell. In this first hour, 2 more conversations on the B side of this hour. After the state's reparations task force issued a lengthy report last year with wide-ranging recommendations following extensive research and public testimony, Governor Gavin Newsom stalled key slavery reparations bills on the final day of the legislative session last Friday. A whole lot of black folk were disappointed in Sacramento, cussing, screaming, yelling, protesting. It was an ugly day last Friday as Governor Gavin Newsom, the guy who started this process, suggesting that there ought to be a reparations task force. Last Friday, on the last day of the legislative session, he stalled these bills on reparations. The governor flexed, and sadly, the California Legislative Black Caucus caved. Hate to say it, black folk, legislators, caved on Friday. We'll talk about what happened, what the governor did, why they responded or didn't respond in the way that they did. We'll talk with Chris Lodson, lead organizer and advocate for the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, on the backside of this hour. It's a full show today. We commenced today, though, in dialogue with the national president of the AFT, American Federation of Teachers, Randi Weingarten. It's back to school season for our nation's children, so now is as good a time as any, I suspect, to check in with Randi post the DNC in Chicago. Randi, good to have you back on. How are you today?
It's great to be on with you. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Glad we got 30 minutes here. Let's make the most of what we have. Let me start with a broad question. I've never asked you this in all the times we've discussed, and I'm not naive in asking it, of course. But I was thinking, walking to the studio today, about my own career, 30-plus years now. And in my media career, my broadcast career, and even prior to that, I can't think off the top of my head, at least, of a national election in which the major teachers' unions, AFT, NEA, endorse the Republican for president. Again, no naivete here, but what is it about the Republicans that teachers' unions think they just don't get, to the extent that y'all always are endorsing the Democratic candidate? What is that?
Well, look, I think that there have been years that, well, let me just start this way. I don't think that public education should be a partisan issue.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually looked over the course of the last, 50 to 75 years, there were a lot of people on a local and a statewide level who believed in public education regardless of politics.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people like, Rockefeller in New York State. Frankly, I would say that there were many people in New York State when I was coming up in this world who were Republicans who I worked with closely, including, even though it was somewhat controversial, George Pataki,
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Javits. There have been Republican governors, as well as Democratic governors, who were out there for, creating new standards for kids. So I think what has happened is this, that the Republican Party as a party decided that tax cuts to the rich were more important than helping all kids get a decent education. And they started opting for things that took money away from public schools, like, charters and vouchers and things like that. And then to cover that up, they would say, well, we're going with something that, is new and better, as opposed to something that is, old and established.
Hold that thought, Randi. We'll talk about that new and better and what that looks like, what that actually means, new and better. I'm not sure I get it, but we'll let Randi unpack that. And you heard her say a moment ago that the Republican Party as an institution decided that tax cuts to the rich were more important than funding education. And yet, If my Republican friends were here, I'm sure they'd say that's Randi's problem. She's always talking about money, 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 as if money is the solution to the problems that we face right now in education. We'll let Randi unpack that as well. And J.D. Vance, yes, that J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, has had some really nasty things to say, some vitriolic things to say about Randi Weingarten. Talking about getting personal. He's been really pretty offensive in his commentary, his comments about Randi Weingarten. I wonder how she processes that as well when she's in the spotlight as the head of the AFT, American Federation of Teachers. We'll continue our dialogue when we come forward with Randi Weingarten on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition. With powerful new contributions from today's leading voices, this 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000.
Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief took care of Eric's problem.
And now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief. The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
The moment we've all been waiting for has finally arrived. On Tuesday, September 10th at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will square off in their first ever presidential debate. KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress are hosting a viewing party, and we're inviting you to join us for an evening of civic engagement, great food, and good vibes. Our studio space is limited, but if you would like to join us, just go to our website at KBLA1580.com and register for your chance to watch this historic presidential debate with us. Years from now, we're all likely to remember exactly where we were when this pivotal moment in American politics unfolded. So, register for your chance to join us by going to KBLA1580.com right now. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Indeed you are, and I'm glad about it. Our guest is Randi Weingarten to kick off today's program, president of the American Federation of Teachers. I asked her moments ago, in case you've just tuned in, why it is that these teachers' unions tend to always support the Democratic nominee for president, as they are in this election, Kamala Harris, over the Republican in this election, Donald Trump. I suspect education will be on the agenda. I hope it will be when we get to September 10th, the day of the first debate. Randi, you think it's going to make the agenda this time, education?
Look, I hope it makes the agenda this time because education is about opportunity. And so let me get back to what you asked,
Sure.
Tavis, which is that, you know, for 50 years or so, there was a consensus about how we have to create opportunity for all kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said that the Republicans decided that tax cuts and reducing, you know, what rich folk, particularly rich folk, pay on schools was more important than opportunity for all kids, that's when you started seeing the divergence between the Republican and Democratic Party on the issues of public education. And for our unions as well as other unions, frankly, it is really about who actually cares about working people and who cares about working families. And frankly, I think what's happened is that as unions are starting to get more popular again, the Republicans are starting to say, oh, no, I really do care about working families. Although, notice, yesterday it was Walsh and Harris and Biden that were out there doing events and not Trump or Vance. And so, you go back to what my kids used to say, which is don't talk the talk, walk the walk. My kids that, I used to teach, they said walk the walk. But I think I really think we got to, for a second, take the parties out of it and just take the positions on it. And that's what I think really happened. And you know it because Betsy DeVos and her acolytes all say to create vouchers or the funding of public schools like you see in Project 2025, you have to they want to create public school distrust. So that's why they do the culture wars. And that's why they create the cruelty. And that's why they try to do the division between parents and teachers. And that's why J.D. Vance went after me again and doubled down on it, because they really think if they create this anger or just ride the anger that people have, legitimate anger, by the way, that people have about their lives, but if they actually say it's those teachers who did it, they're going to try and get people to vote for them as opposed to fund the schools and help kids and help teachers, help parents and kids, so that we have the opportunity for kids.
You mentioned J.D. Vance. I want to play in just a second here a clip of what J.D. Vance said about you and give you a chance to respond to this national audience. Before I do that, though, right quick, since you mentioned Project 25, I wanted to go there anyway. What would be the impact on education if Donald Trump wins and his acolytes who want to advance this notion, this agenda of Project 2025 would get their way? What would be the impact on education specifically, Randi?
Okay, three things. One, completely defunding a lot of what the federal government does for poor and middle-class families. That's number one. Number two, these culture wars that we already see right now would be center stage. And number three, taking away the pillar of what actually is the cornerstone of our democracy, which is public education and what we try to do every single day to help kids thrive. And I'm not just talking about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Like, think about what public schools do. They feed kids. Think about what public schools do. We help middle class and poor kids learn critical thinking, context, trying to communicate, relationship building. So what they're really trying to do, Project 25, is basically saying, rich kids deserve an education, forget about everybody else.
Here's J.D. Vance with some not-so-kind things to say about our guest right now, Randi Weingarten.
And I think our conservative idea is that parents and families should determine what children learn, what values they are brought up with. So many of the leaders of the left, and I hate to be so personal about this, but they're people without kids trying to brainwash the minds of our children. And that really disorients me and it really disturbs me. Randi Weingarten, who's the head of the most powerful teachers union in the country, she doesn't have a single child. If she wants to brainwash and destroy the minds of children, she should have some of her own and leave ours the hell alone.
He said he didn't want to get personal, then he got personal, going after Randi Weingarten for not having children and brainwashing the minds of your children. To that, you say what, Randi Weingarten?
So, look, I am very proud that my grandchildren actually go to schools, public schools in L.A., but it is not about whether I have or don't have a family. Frankly, there's lots and lots and lots of people who wish they had kids, who couldn't have kids. And so every time somebody says this, it's pretty painful to people. And so let's put aside his kind of weird and rude and dishonest comments about me. Let's talk about what the impact is on right now. We're at the start of the school year. I don't care if kids go to parochial schools, private schools, Jewish schools, Catholic schools, or public schools. This is that moment, that magic moment, that important moment where kids and teachers bond with each other, where teachers and parents bond with each other, where we're all supposed to be on the kids' team as we start school all throughout the country. So to redouble his comments about this at the moment that everybody should be on Team Kid is really, it's not just dystopian, but it's disconnected with where regular people are at this moment in time. And that's my point from before about the difference between Democrats and Republicans. It shouldn't take, why would you put politics into kids going back to school right now? Why is not everybody, he and Trump, they should be at open school visits right now. Everybody should be about, if we really care about kids, everybody should be about wishing and hoping this is a great school year for our kids. That's why he's so disconnected.
I want to talk in a moment here about AFT's Get Out the Vote campaign. You made a comment earlier about unions becoming more popular again. I want to explore that as well in just a second. Before I do either of those things, why Kamala this time around for AFT?
Think about what she just has said over and over again. 3 phrases: opportunity, freedom, and the promise of America. Making that promise real for everyone requires us to have broad-based opportunity, economic opportunity, education opportunity, and requires all of us to have the freedoms to thrive. So think about those values and how we get back to those values, and frankly, how we turn the page from the kind of dystopian, cruel anger that has marked the last 10 years that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance run on. So she is a breath of fresh air, plus she has the knowledge and the smarts to try to make the policies that build on what she and Joe Biden have done to make a better future for everyone. That's why. You
mentioned the culture wars earlier. I'm watching my timer. We got about 7 minutes left. I want to cover a few things here. You mentioned the culture wars earlier as one of the 3 things that happens if Project 25 gets a chance to get off the ground, to take flight under a Donald Trump presidency once again. Are Republicans, to your mind, losing or winning these culture wars?
Losing now. I mean, think about this year. Just Moms for Liberty just had their big event in Washington, D.C. Last year, they had their big event in Philadelphia. There were more people actually outside protesting than inside. But their event, that they did not get the lift that they wanted this year, which means that they're no longer the moment that even the media saw them as last year. And I think the reason is why. The reason is this. Mm-hmm. We've already seen the last 2 years, they have lost 7 or 8 out of 10 races that they've been in because they don't actually care about what parents care about right now. Parents care about engaging their kids. Parents care about making sure we have pathways to, career as well as college. Parents care about making sure their kids are okay, their kids are reading. So I think what Moms for Liberty is just doing is they're just continuing to try to stoke the anger as opposed to being problem solvers, and that's why they're losing the culture wars.
What about this notion, speaking of the culture wars, what about this notion that they are advancing? We tiptoed around this earlier. I want to go right at it right quick. This notion that an educator's personal life or family planning decision should determine whether or not they're qualified to teach in classrooms. The issue of JD coming after you notwithstanding, I'm talking more broadly about educators and this notion that how they choose or don't choose to unfold their personal life, their family planning decisions, whether or not that should have any impact on whether or not they're qualified to teach our kids in public classrooms.
I'm going to go back to something that we normally do, which is that trust is earned. Trust should not be based upon identity. Trust should be based upon who we are and what we do and how we do this. Now, I know why they go after me. They go after me because I was the first openly gay labor leader in the country. And I was, and I'm a New Yorker and I'm Jewish and I'm married to a rabbi. And, And I never, just like Kamala Harris, I very, very rarely, or I used to very rarely talk about my identity because it's about what you do, not who you are. Who you are helps make who you are, but it's about what you do. It's about the relationships that you have with children. It's about how you help kids grow and have that and their knowledge. And so just like somebody shouldn't go after nuns who are teaching in Catholic school, somebody should not go after single people who are teaching in public schools. It's just ridiculous. It's what we do with kids. It's how we help nurture them and how we help make sure that they are the best they can be. Should identity have a role? Like, should we have more male teachers in schools? Should we have more black and brown teachers in schools? Should there be a gay-straight alliance? Should there be places for identity? Of course there should be, because, it helps kids feel seen. But this notion that we're going to go backwards to a place of identity as opposed to understanding that diversity is one of our common bonds in the United States, it's diversity is what strengthens us. That is who America is.
I've got 3 minutes left here. I'll give it all to you, Randi. And these are the two things I would ask you to address in your own way. And that is this notion that you raised earlier that unions are getting more popular. And my question for you is, as one of those labor leaders, why you think that is, and we can close talking about AFT's Get Out the Vote campaign this year.
Right. So I think that you go back to the side, this old song, I think what has happened, again, also over the course of the last 50 or so years, is that, when unions had the highest density we had, then the class was ascendant. That what unions do, through collective bargaining in particular, and through the work we do electorally, is we try to make sure that a boss, a company, is paying a living wage. We try to make sure America allows people to retire with dignity, that you're not one medical condition away from going broke, that you can go to college without having student debt that's going to be a chokehold. This is what unions are. It used to be people would say, we brought people the weekend, we brought people the 40-hour work week. You're trying to make sure that Americans can have a better life. And I think what's happened with young people in particular is they're saying, wait a second, I want to have that power. I want to have that agency. I want to have that engagement. And that's why we've become more popular despite literally a 40 or 50-year assault on our rights by big business and by the powerful. And I think in terms of us, we're just trying to get the vote out. We're taking a bus. Think about that engagement. We're taking a bus. We're going from, first we were in Detroit yesterday. We're going to be in Pittsburgh on Friday. And then we're going to take the bus west. And we're going to go west to east and really engage our members and communities, because that's what we do. We have grown more than we've ever grown before in the last 2 years. We had 185 new units join us in the last 2 years because we want a better life for people, economic opportunity, education opportunity, and the promise of America.
No surprise that Randi Weingarten's on the bus. We are in that sprint now, as we do every 4 years, between Labor Day and Election Day. All hands on deck, and Randi Weingarten and AFT are out pressing their points about education in this election and why they're supporting Kamala Harris for president of the United States. Randi, good to have you on. We'll do it again, and be safe and enjoy the bus tour.
Thank you, Tavis. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. When we come forward, we'll talk about Governor Gavin Newsom's shenanigans on the issue of reparations. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has a new book out today, as well as a cross-country tour to promote it. The book, written by the first black woman on the court, is titled Lovely One. She says being first is a sign of progress, but the goal is to be in a society where we're no longer recognizing firsts. In Illinois, a person is in custody after 4 sleeping passengers were shot and killed on a Chicago area train. Authorities say 3 of the victims died at the scene, while the 4th was pronounced dead at the hospital. People without high school diplomas are working or looking for jobs in record numbers. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that in July, 49% of adults without a diploma were in the workforce, the most going back to at least 1992. The group has been helping with shortages in industries like restaurants, retail, and construction. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
It's Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Get a Sleepy's Queen mattress at the lowest price ever, just $89.99. Offer ends Tuesday. In-store pickup only. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm during their Labor Day sale.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers beat Arizona Monday to take 3 out of 4 against the Diamondbacks in Phoenix. The Dodgers now have a 6-game lead over the Diamondbacks in the NL West. Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders became the first NCAA football player to sign an NIL deal with Nike. Nike signed Sanders to a name, image, and likeness contract to promote a new line of footwear and apparel. Shedeur's father, Deion Sanders, had a Nike deal in the 1990s when he was an NFL cornerback. Former USC quarterback Caleb Williams was named one of 8 captains for the Chicago Bears. Williams is the first Bears rookie to be named a captain since the team started naming captains in 2007. One more quarterback note, 15 of the 32 NFL teams will begin the regular season with a black quarterback as their starter. That tops last year's number of 14. Later today, we'll give you the names of all 15 NFL black quarterbacks in the starting lineup for Week 1. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Pack their lunchbox with a Prime exclusive deal on select Kellogg's brands from your local Amazon Fresh grocery store. Buy 4 boxes of select varieties of Cheez-Its, Nutri-Grain, Rice Krispies, or Pop-Tarts for only $10 while supplies last. Find an Amazon Fresh store near you or shop online.
Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We must understand the politics of our community, and we must know what part politics play in our lives.
Questions about black voters, their disengagement, lack of information, and support or lack thereof for Democratic candidates have once again taken center stage as Democrats, Republicans, and independent candidates compete for this critical voting bloc. Will black voters abandon Democrats in this election, move historic numbers of votes toward the Republican nominee, or will they continue a decades-long trend of overperforming for Democratic candidates up and down the ballot? The stakes have never been higher for Black America. Tune in to KBLA's new show, The Black Pack, hosted by veteran political strategist Adrian Shropshire, every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for a breakdown of the issues, rhetoric, polling, and more this election year. It's The Black Pack with Adrian Shropshire, Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
After the state's reparations task force issued a lengthy report just last year with wide-ranging recommendations, following extensive research and public testimony, Governor Gavin Newsom stalled key slavery reparations bills on the final day of the legislative session last Friday. The governor flexed, and sadly, the California Legislative Black Caucus caved. I talk now with Chris Lotson, lead organizer and advocate for the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. Pleased to have Chris back on this program. Chris, how are you today, sir?
Good morning, brother. Good morning, brother. We feeling a lot this morning, brother. We are energized. We are excited. We are disappointed, and we are ready to work.
You're disappointed. I'm going to ask you in a moment what you're disappointed about, but just set the stage. I want to make the most of our time. Set the stage for what happened last Friday. What was going down? What bills are being voted on? Just tell me about this moment that was last Friday. Then we'll talk about what actually happened in that moment. What was the moment?
The moment was the biggest votes in state history for the biggest bills for reparations in state history. There were 3 bills. These bills were the first in state history specifically for residents whose ancestors were enslaved and emancipated in this country. And these bills would have created the programmatic and the fiscal infrastructure, the things you need to do all of the things that we want to do per reparation. So SB 1403, which was one of the bills, that bill would have created the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency, and that agency would be responsible for implementing reparations and for verifying eligibility. So that's where we would go to apply for reparations, to show that we're eligible for reparations, to get our claims and our payments processed. SB 1331, that bill would have created a state fund in the state treasury to help facilitate current and future funding, so to set up the fiscal and funding infrastructure. And then finally, SB 1050, that bill would have provided restitution and compensation to families who've had property taken from them by the state of California. These bills were all set to be voted on and passed on Wednesday of last week, and at the absolute, literally moments before the bills were coming up, I get word that the governor had reached out to caucus members and told them that he was going to veto these bills and that he did not want these bills to come to his desk. So that's where we started last Wednesday.
So SB 14, SB stands for Senate bill. It could stand for Steve Bradford. Steve Bradford is a state senator. And SB will join us tomorrow in our first hour to talk about how he feels about being the sponsor of SB 1403, one of the bills that Chris just mentioned. It tanked in the Assembly, and Steve Bradford, Senator Steve Bradford here in California, will join us tomorrow in our first hour to talk about SB 1403. That said, though, let's get to the politics of this. So I've been fuming about this since last week when this went down. and let me just go right at Gavin Newsom as lovingly and as respectfully as I can. Gavin Newsom is as brilliant a political strategist as I've met. He's pretty good. He ain't no Willie Brown, but he's pretty good at political strategy. And the way I read this is simply this, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong about this. Gavin Newsom called these black legislators last week and said, I'm going to veto these bills. And here's the spin he put on it. As we advance this conversation about reparations, you don't really want, he says these black legislators, you don't really want me to veto these bills. but I'm going to veto them if you send them to my desk. And that's not going to look good for this conversation nationally about reparations. So please don't send me these bills. If you send them, I'm going to have to veto them. Now, if that had been me and Chris Lodson, we would have sent that. I want to be respectful. We would have sent the governor those bills and forced him to sign or veto. It's politics. You're a big boy. You can handle it. But don't play me. Right. Don't play me and tell me not to send you the bills and try to spin me by telling me if I veto them, it ain't going to be good for the narrative about reparations. So don't send me the bills. And these Negroes in the legislature in California went for that hook, line, and sinker. Here's the other side, though. So if you send the bills to Gavin Newsom, he has to veto them, which doesn't make him look good, because when he runs for president, you heard me, when he runs for president, he doesn't want to be reminded by black folk in California and beyond that he was the one that vetoed reparations after he was the one who supported the reparations task force. He doesn't want that policy trope hanging around his neck years from now. So he doesn't want to veto the bills. That's one side. Here's the other side. This is politics 101 as far as I'm concerned. The other side is that if they send him the bills and he does sign the bills, when he runs for president, they're going to blame him as being the white guy that started all this mess by giving these Negroes the money in the first place in California. So Gavin Newsom knows that either way, he's in trouble. And he out-strategized these Negroes. He out-strategized them and told them, don't send me these bills. I'll have to veto it. So then the conversation begins in earnest about some silliness. I'll give y'all $6 million in the budget to continue studying how we implement reparations. I'll give you something, but let's continue to study how we implement it. No, Governor, you sign this bill today or you don't sign it. But we're not going to play this game of kicking this can down the road, and I do not understand for the life of me why these black legislators in the California Assembly went for that nonsense, and frankly, just call it what it is. Chris said it before I said it. Black folk in California got sold out by the black folk they sent to represent them, but I digress. That's how I see it. If I'm wrong, to quote my friend Milana Karenga, if I'm wrong, somebody rescue me, Chris.
Brother, you just said everything that everybody been saying and seeing for the last week, and this was a disgrace. This was disrespectful. This was a betrayal. This was selling our people out. That's exactly what it was. Selling our people. We don't need no more studies. Listen, we helped write the bill to create the California Reparations Task Force in 2019 and 2020 with Secretary Weber when she was in the Assembly. We already studied this with the California Reparations Task Force. We don't need no more studies. And let me say something about that study option. We didn't hear about hey, I want to study this until like Thursday. These bills been going through the process through committee after vote after vote for 6, 7, 8 months already. Every single one of the CLBC, California Legislative Black Caucus members, they are also co-authors on the bills. So they have seen the bills. They have put their names on the bills. They even lifted up SB 1403 as one of their priority bills. So they've said this bill is a priority for us. We want this bill to pass. And then they got scared. I'm just going to say it. Look, I was talking to them directly Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I can see the fear in their eyes. You know how you can see somebody scared?
Yep.
I could see the fear in their eyes.
What were they scared of, Chris?
They was obviously they scared of the governor.
Why? He's termed out. He's termed out. He can't even run again. What are they scared of?
Thank you. What are you so scared of?
Oh,
and also, even if you're scared, do it anyway. Like, so why are you more scared of the governor than you are scared of the people who put you there?
Ooh.
We don't need no people in those offices. So what do we need a California Legislative Black Caucus for? Because right now it looks like the governor is picking. It don't look like it. Right now the governor is picking which bills he gets to his desk. If he says, I don't like this bill, don't bring it to my desk, they said, I'm not going to bring the bill to your desk. That's what happened. So what do we need a CLBC for? What do we need black legislators there for? What does representation even mean if you more scared of the person who is the governor than the people who put you in office? That has to change.
I don't like this bill. Don't send it to my desk. If you do, I'm going to veto it. Yes, massa. Yes, massa. We won't send it. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/TC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Watch out! You got me! The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out.
Going down in the rinse change.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes 100% of odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Let's get back to it. Chris Lotson, who is the lead organizer on this issue of reparations. He was in Sacramento last week when the California Legislative Black Caucus just frankly took a dive, as far as I'm concerned. He's the lead organizer and advocate for the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. Watching my time, Chris, let me just ask you what the rationale was. I'm trying to find the right word. The rationale, the excuse, the statement, the explanation. You tell me, what did these Negroes say to y'all about why they behaved in the way they did?
They said many different things, none of them that were true. And I want to be just, as straight up and as honest with the people as possible. They lied. They lied. Their story changed. When I was talking to folks on Wednesday, it was like, well, we don't know if we have the votes, so we don't know if we're going to bring the bill up. Then Thursday is, well, we need to see the amendments. We never seen the amendments. Then Friday it was, we weren't able to work on this bill, so we don't know, how the bill is, and so we don't know if we can support the bill. And this is coming from our black legislators. And so what was really going on was they were mad at Senator Bradford for months before this because he introduced these bills without them. He introduced these bills without their blessing. And internally inside the caucus, and I'm just going to spill out the tea.
Speak on it.
Inside of the California Legislative Caucus, they were fighting. They have been fighting internally all year. And they were mad at Bradford because he did not work as closely as they wanted him to work with them on these bills. And so they saw an opportunity, and the governor gave them the cover to hurt Senator Bradford when he least expects to sucker punch us politically at the very, very final 11th hour. I mean, so that's what was really going on. It was, I'm scared of the governor and I don't want to do this, and I'm mad. Listen, we were getting texts from caucus members saying to us, "Hey, your boy Bradford effed up. He should have did this. He should have did that." We're like, wait a minute. This is coming from caucus members, and we're like, wait a minute. Y'all need to get y'all stuff. Like, the people don't care what's going on inside of your house.
That's right.
Get your stuff together and do this for the people. There is no excuse.
So I hear you saying to me, and I know this independently myself. Let me just say this. I can verify what Chris Lodson has just said. I heard the same stories. I was getting the same download, that they were mad at Steve Bradford. As I mentioned, Steve Bradford is our guest tomorrow here in the first hour of the senator here in California who advanced SB 1403. But the sad part about this is that we are at this point in part over some black infighting. We're talking about the issue of reparations, and what Chris just laid out is that we are in this mess right now, and Gavin Newsom was able to exploit this moment, because of some black infighting. I digress for now. Our remaining moments when we come forward with Chris Lodson on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on your every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Put a sheet on Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you? Okay, bounce dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Let me just say this, and I think everybody listening understands exactly what I mean when I say this, and you know it's true. You know it's true. If we were like our good Jewish brothers and sisters, we would primary every one of these Negroes.
Right.
If we were like the good Jews, we would primary every one of these Negroes who did not vote to send this bill, this package of bills, to Gavin Newsom's desk. We'd primary every single one of them. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pray on that and see what role I may play in that, and what role my hometown station may play in that. These legislatures need to hear from the people that put them there. Perhaps every single one of them ought to be primaried. That's what the Jewish lobby did. They took out Jamal Bowman when he didn't stand on the issue where they thought he should have stood. They took out Cori Bush when she didn't stand where they thought she should have stood. But black people have to be sold out by black people, and we just have to accept that. Perhaps every one of them ought to be primaried. Here's the sad part, the sadder part, or as sad part, is that the one who had the fortitude to push this forward, Steve Bradford, that's the one they're hating on, and the sad part is he's termed out. He'll be here tomorrow, but his term in the legislature is done. He's done in the Assembly. He's done in the Senate. He's not running for lieutenant governor, but he's done on the Senate side. So who's going to advance this up against Gavin Newsom? I do not know. It will not be Steve Bradford because he won't be there in the next term. I close with this, Chris. How does it feel? How do we process that, again, we were sold out, as it were, by black legislators? And what does it mean to you? Let me put it this way. There's a distinct difference to me between winning and witnessing.
Yeah.
And you might not win every fight, but it's the witness. It's bearing witness that matters. You put it on the governor's desk. If he vetoes it, you come back and you fight again. But you will be true to your calling. You are bearing witness by advancing the package of bills. That's how I see it. The last 2 minutes, sir, belong to you.
Yep. It feels like a betrayal because, you know, it's one thing if we take the votes up and we lose the vote. Oh, all right. I can live with that because then we can come back and we can get more votes next time, right? It's another thing if we take the votes, we win, and it gets to the governor's desk. And as you say, the governor vetoes it. All right, then we can come back and work on that.
That's right.
It's another thing. It's a whole nother thing. This is why this has hurt black people across the country. Like, black people across the country are pissed off because it's a whole nother thing when your own people do it to you. Your own people do it to you, and we absolutely all witnessed it happen, and we were watching it in real time. So it hurts, it sucks. It also has energized us. It has motivated us. We are doing more organizing. We are doing more mobilizing work. They have also helped us. They don't know because now so many people are paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't tell you how many people say, yo, Chris, what can I do? How are we coming back next? What's next? What's the next steps for us? What can we do next time to get these bills on? And also now the price just went up now.
There you go.
Because now we want more now.
There you
right?
go.
So yesterday's price is not today's price.
That's
now
it.
We want more now. Now the price is up, and you are absolutely right. There has to be a political price to pay. You do not get to violate black voters, black people, and expect to pay no political price. Those days are over. There will be a political price to pay for every single last one of them.
The struggle is real, but so is the fight back. The fight back continues. As we all know, when we fight, we win. So the fight will continue. Chris Lotson is lead organizer and advocate for the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. You heard him say they are fired up, and that's a beautiful thing. Chris, continue to fight, brother. I'll talk to you soon offline. Stay strong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
More of Tavis Smiley, an hour with Ralph Nader. Speaking of fighters, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has a new book out today, as well as a cross-country tour to promote it. The book, written by the first black woman on the court, is titled Lovely One. She says being first is the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that in July, 49% of adults without a diploma were